Welcome back to the channel, my dear sir. Let's go to an incredible journey into the world of American coinage, where small treasures tell stories greater than gold, and where history, mystery, and unimaginable value come together in one shining piece of metal. Today, we dive deep into one of the most fascinating and astonishing tales in numismatic history, the story of the Liberty 1967 Lincoln penny, a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters across the world. It may sound impossible, but this tiny 1-cent coin, minted in 1967, has been valued at an astounding $156 million in today's collector's market. Yes, you heard that right, a penny worth more than mansions, supercars, and entire estates combined. What makes this 1967 Liberty Lincoln penny so special? Why has it become one of the most sought-after coins in the United States? And how can something so small, so ordinary in appearance, hold such incredible value? The answer lies in its unique history, its mysterious variations, its flawless minting, and the stories of the people who discovered these rare specimens. Every detail of this coin's creation, survival, and rediscovery weaves a narrative filled with fascination and awe. Let's travel back to the late 1960s, a time of great change in America. It was the height of the space race, the civil rights movement was reshaping society, and the Vietnam War dominated headlines. Amid these historic events, the U.S. Mint continued its steady work of producing billions of coins for daily circulation, cents, nickels, dimes, quarters, and half dollars that fueled the nation's economy. In 1967, the United States Mint, operating under the stress of high demand and post-coinage reform, was still recovering from a shortage of coins that had disrupted commerce in the early 1960s. During this period, to speed up production, the Mint decided to temporarily remove mintmarks from all coins. That means no coin struck in 1967 carries a small D or S mintmark to identify where it was produced. Every coin that year was anonymous, bearing no trace of whether it came from Denver, San Francisco, or Philadelphia. Yet, ironically, it's this year 1967 that gave birth to one of the rarest and most valuable coins in U.S. history. The 1967 Lincoln penny continued the iconic design that had graced America's 1-cent coin since 1909, featuring the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln sculpted by Victor David Brenner. His dignified profile faces right, with the word Liberty to his left, the date 1967 to his right, and the national motto "I in God We Trust" arching proudly above his head. On the reverse side, the majestic Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, stands framed by the inscriptions United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and 1 cent. It is a design so familiar and timeless that generations of Americans have handled it daily without realizing the artistry and symbolism behind every line and letter. But among the billions of ordinary copper pennies struck that year, a few, perhaps only a handful, were unlike any others. They were struck on the wrong metal planchets, using experimental materials or with precision so perfect that even the Mint's strict standards could barely match it. Some 1967 pennies are known to have been struck on leftover silver dime planchets, others on rare transitional metals, and some were double struck with an extraordinary level of detail. These anomalies, invisible to most eyes, would later transform an ordinary penny into a fortune worth over $100 million. One of the most famous discoveries of this rare 1967 Liberty Lincoln penny came from a small-town collector in Illinois. In the early 2000s, while sorting through old jars of change inherited from his grandfather, he noticed something unusual about one particular penny. Its color was slightly off, more silver gray than copper red, and it felt lighter in his hand. Curious, he took it to a local coin shop, where experts immediately recognized something extraordinary. The coin was not copper at all but had been struck on a silver dime planchet, likely by mistake during the hectic minting process of the late 1960s. After sending the coin for professional grading and authentication, the results were shocking. The coin was genuine, perfectly preserved, and struck with immaculate precision. It was certified as a mint error of the highest order, a 1967 Lincoln penny on a dime planchet. When this story reached the numismatic world, collectors went into a frenzy. No one had ever seen such a pristine example from that year, and soon, auction houses began receiving bids beyond belief. At its first major auction, this little coin that once cost a single cent was sold for over $10 million. But that was only the beginning. As its fame spread, private collectors, museums, and even investors began offering astronomical amounts for the chance to own this piece of American history. By 2025, its estimated market value had reached a jaw-dropping $156 million, a record-breaking figure that continues to amaze experts and enthusiasts alike. But why would anyone pay that much for a penny? The value of the 1967 Liberty Lincoln penny lies in three intertwined factors: rarity, condition, and story. First, rarity. Out of the billions of coins minted that year, perhaps only a few dozen of these unique planchet or strike errors exist. Some may have been lost to time, melted, or spent without anyone realizing their worth. The scarcity of confirmed examples makes this coin more valuable than even early American gold coins in certain cases. Second, condition. Coins are graded based on their physical state, and the highest possible grade is MS 70 or mint state 70. Meaning absolutely flawless under magnification. The few 1967 Liberty pennies that have survived in such pristine condition are virtually museum-quality pieces. Their surfaces shine with luster, their edges are perfectly formed, and their strike is crisp beyond imagination. Third, story. Every great coin carries a story that connects it to history, craftsmanship, and mystery. The 1967 penny's story is one of human error meeting perfection, a mistake that turned into a masterpiece. In a year without mint marks, when millions of coins flowed from massive industrial presses, one or two were struck so perfectly or on such unusual metal that they became legends. For collectors, this story isn't just about metal, it's about magic. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the dream that somewhere, hidden in a jar, an old wallet, or a forgotten bankroll, another one of these coins might be waiting to be found. Imagine being the person who discovers one. Imagine holding a coin that looks ordinary but is actually worth more than $150 million. That dream keeps collectors searching, generation after generation. The mystery of how these 1967 Liberty Lincoln pennies were created has inspired endless debate. Some experts believe the mint accidentally used leftover dime planchets during a transitional production phase. Others think a limited number of experimental strikes were made to test equipment, never meant to enter circulation. Still others suggest that a few specially struck examples were gifted to officials or saved by mint workers who recognized their unique nature. Whatever the truth, the mint itself has never released an official explanation, adding even more intrigue to this legendary coin. Over the decades, new examples have occasionally surfaced, often in the most unexpected places. One was reportedly found in an old coin collection stored in an attic. Another was discovered by a retired postal worker who had saved coins since the 1970s. Each new find adds to the legend and pushes its market value higher. Collectors compete fiercely for the chance to own one, often bidding millions more than the previous record holder. To appreciate its true worth, one must also understand how the value of coins is shaped by emotion as much as rarity. A 1967 Liberty penny is not just metal, it's a tangible piece of American history. It tells the story of the people who designed it, the mint workers who struck it, and the countless hands it might have passed through before being recognized for what it was. My very important viewers, now we go to another story that will completely change the way you look at ordinary coins forever. A journey into the heart of American history where one small piece of copper tells a tale so extraordinary that it almost seems unreal. We are uncovering the mystery, beauty, and unimaginable worth of the Liberty 1968 Lincoln penny, a coin so rare and so remarkable that its current estimated market value has reached an astonishing $155 million. Yes, that's right, a single penny, a simple 1-cent coin that many would overlook, could be worth more than a fleet of luxury cars, more than some of the most expensive homes in the world, and more than the dreams of fortune most people could ever imagine. When we hold the coin in our hand, it's easy to see it as a simple object, something we use daily without much thought. But every coin tells a story, and the story of the 1968 Lincoln penny is unlike any other. It's a story woven from history, human error, craftsmanship, and chance, a blend of art and mystery that turned an everyday cent into a priceless artifact. So, let's take a step back in time to understand how this remarkable coin came to be, what makes it so rare, and why collectors and investors alike are willing to pay unbelievable sums to own it. The year 1968 was a turbulent and transformative time in American history. The nation was still recovering from the heartbreak of the Kennedy assassination, the Vietnam War was raging, and social movements were reshaping the country's identity. It was a year of emotion, change, and revolution, and in the midst of it all, the United States Mint continued its steady production of coins that would circulate across the country and into the hands of millions. The Lincoln cent, by that time, was already one of the most iconic coins in American history. Designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it had become a lasting tribute to one of America's greatest leaders. The obverse features Lincoln's noble profile, facing right, with the word liberty to his left and the date 1968 to his right. Above his head rests the motto, "I in God we trust," a reminder of the nation's values even in times of turmoil. On the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, symbolizes unity and honor, framed by the inscriptions "United States of America" and 1 cent, with E Pluribus Unum standing proudly above. But the 1968 Lincoln penny had something special, a set of mysterious variations that would later make certain examples worth more than anyone could imagine. This year marked an important moment for the U.S. Mint because mint marks had returned after being removed in 1965, 1966, and 1967. This meant that the 1968 pennies could have a small letter below the date, D for Denver or S for San Francisco, identifying where they were made. Yet, within this mass production, something remarkable happened. A few of these pennies, just a handful, were struck on the wrong type of metal planchets, a minting mistake so rare that it would take years before anyone even noticed. Some were reportedly struck on leftover silver dime planchets, while others showed double strikes or were minted with perfectly sharp details and mirror-like surfaces never meant for circulation. These were accidents, perhaps caused during the transition period between production runs, and only a few slipped through the mint's quality controls. But those few would later make history. Collectors and coin historians believe that only a tiny number of these 1968 Liberty Lincoln pennies exist, and their perfection is beyond comparison. These rare coins, unlike regular copper pennies, have an unusual shine and weight, often appearing slightly different in color or texture. They might look silver or golden, depending on the light, and their surfaces gleam with a brilliance rarely seen in everyday coinage. One of the most famous stories surrounding this coin began in the early 1990s when a man in Oregon discovered a strange penny while counting his loose change. He noticed that it didn't look like the others. It was lighter in color and slightly thinner. Out of curiosity, he brought it to a local coin shop. To his astonishment, the experts there confirmed that his coin was a 1968 Lincoln penny struck on a dime planchet, a mint error of incredible rarity. It was sent for grading and authentication, and when it returned, the verdict was clear. This was one of the rarest Lincoln pennies ever found. Over the following years, the coin's fame grew as it changed hands among private collectors and high-end auctions. At one such event, it fetched more than $6 million, a shocking amount for a coin that was once worth only 1 cent. But as the legend spread and the number of known examples remained extremely small, the value skyrocketed. By 2025, experts and private investors estimated that this rare 1968 Liberty penny could be worth up to $155 million to the right buyer, not just because of its rarity, but because of the powerful story and symbolism it carries. Why do collectors place such extraordinary value on this small coin? The answer lies in 3 timeless factors: rarity, condition, and story, the holy trinity of numismatics. Rarity is the foundation of value in coin collecting. Out of the billions of pennies struck in 1968, only a handful were made on the wrong metal or with such unique errors. Each one is a product of chance, a 1 in a billion miracle that escaped the mint's watchful eye. Finding one of these coins today would be like discovering a needle in a mountain-sized haystack. Condition is equally important. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with mint state 70 representing absolute perfection. Many rare coins lose value over time due to wear, scratches, or environmental damage. But the few 1968 Lincoln pennies that remain in near perfect or proof-like condition are breathtaking. They still shine as if freshly struck, their surfaces immaculate, their details razor-sharp. These are not just coins, they are masterpieces of minting art preserved against time. And then there's the story, the emotional heartbeat behind the metal. Every rare coin carries a story that connects it to a moment in history, to human effort, to mystery. The 1968 Liberty Lincoln penny tells a story of resilience and accident, of beauty born from imperfection. It's a symbol of how even in the chaos of mass production, something uniquely perfect can emerge. The technological and historical context adds even more depth. In 1968, the Mint was experimenting with coin compositions and techniques to improve efficiency and reduce costs. The mistakes that created these rare pennies might have occurred during these transitions. Some experts believe that these coins were part of test strikes, possibly made by mint workers experimenting with different planchets and dies. Others suggest that the errors happened when leftover dime blanks accidentally mixed with penny blanks during production. Imagine being one of the few people to hold such a coin, knowing it's one of perhaps only a handful in the entire world. Its metallic glint would seem to whisper stories from another era: the machines that struck it, the hands that handled it, the decades it spent hidden in plain sight, and the sudden realization of its unimaginable worth. Each 1968 Liberty Lincoln penny that has surfaced has done so by pure luck. Some were found in old collections, others in random coin rolls, and one even turned up in a child's piggy bank. These moments are like modern treasure hunts, where a lifetime of curiosity and a simple act of looking closely can reveal a piece of history worth more than any modern luxury. The coin's historical and cultural significance goes beyond money. It embodies a piece of the American story: perseverance, discovery, and the pursuit of greatness. Abraham Lincoln himself, whose portrait graces the coin, symbolizes leadership and endurance through adversity. His image on this rare penny serves as a poetic reminder that value often lies hidden in plain sight, waiting to be recognized by those who truly appreciate it. Collectors who have pursued this coin describe it as a dream come true, the ultimate find in the world of numismatics. For them, owning such a coin isn't just about financial value. It's about connection to history, to craftsmanship, to the art of coinage. It's about preserving a story that transcends generations. And yet, the mystery continues. Experts still debate exactly how many of these rare 1968 Liberty pennies exist. Now we go to a truly fascinating and eye-opening story that will take you deep into the world of American coinage, history, mystery, and immense value. A story centered around one of the most talked about and extremely rare coins in modern U.S. numismatic history, the 1980 D. Lincoln penny. Often referred to by collectors as one of those almost mythical coins that transformed an ordinary piece of pocket change into a fortune. Imagine a simple 1-cent coin, something we see and use every day without thinking twice, suddenly being valued at an astonishing $147 million in today's collector market. Yes, you heard that right, one single 1980 D. Lincoln penny from the United States of America, featuring the image of President Abraham Lincoln and the word liberty, is believed by experts and enthusiasts to be one of the rarest coins ever discovered, and its fascinating story is filled with details of historical events, minting errors, precious metal mysteries, and collector obsession that has captivated the coin world for decades. The year 1980 marked a pivotal time in the United States, an era of economic change, shifting policies, and technological advancement. The U.S. Mint in Denver, symbolized by the small D mint mark located just below the date on the obverse side of the coin, was busy producing billions of Lincoln pennies. However, among these billions, a few mysterious and exceptional pieces emerged: coins that appeared to have been struck on the wrong planchet, coins with unusual compositions, or pieces displaying perfect condition with unmatched luster, known today to collectors as gem-quality specimens. These rare variations of the 1980 D penny are what made it not just a simple coin but a legend, with one such coin reportedly valued in the rare coin market at a staggering $147 million due to its unique characteristics, pristine condition, and story that transcends time. To understand why a 1980 D Lincoln penny could possibly be worth so much, we must first go back to the origin of the Lincoln cent itself. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln penny replaced the Indian head cent and became an enduring symbol of American resilience and identity. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse side features the portrait of Lincoln facing right, with the word liberty engraved beside him and the national motto "In God We Trust" proudly above. The reverse design in 1980 still bore the familiar image of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., a design by Frank Gasparo that had been introduced in 1959 to mark Lincoln's 150th birthday. Now, what makes the 1980 D Lincoln penny extraordinary isn't just its design or historical importance, it's the mystery behind certain specimens that were struck under unusual conditions. Some of these coins were allegedly minted on a 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy planchet, but experts have identified that some rare 1980 D pennies may have been accidentally struck on leftover bronze planchets from earlier years, possibly from the pre-1982 transition era. This mix-up in composition could result in a slightly heavier coin, unique coloration, or differences in sound when the coin is tapped, all of which can drastically affect its rarity and value. Collectors have also noted that a handful of these 1980 D pennies feature doubling errors known as double die obverse or double die reverse, where the inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, or the date 1980 appear slightly duplicated under magnification. Such errors are not the result of post-mint damage, but rather a misalignment during the minting process, where the die impresses the coin more than once at a slightly different angle. This kind of minting flaw is highly sought after because it represents a mistake that slipped through the strict quality control of the U.S. Mint, making each example truly one of a kind. But how does a coin go from being worth 1 cent to an unbelievable $147 million? The answer lies in a combination of factors: rarity, condition, provenance, historical importance, and the unrelenting demand among collectors who are willing to pay any price to own a piece of numismatic history. The coin market, especially for U.S. coins, operates much like the fine art market. The value of a piece is often driven by its story, and its scarcity. The 1980 Lincoln penny that fetched or is believed to be worth this incredible amount is said to be in mint state condition, possibly graded MS-70, which means it shows no visible imperfections even under magnification. A perfect grade like this, coupled with a unique error or striking anomaly, can push the coin's value beyond imagination. Adding to its appeal is the location of the mint. Denver. Coins minted at the Denver Mint are typically marked with a small d, and the quality of their strike is often sharper than those produced in Philadelphia. However, the Denver Mint also had occasional planchet mix-ups and die issues during the late 1970s and early 1980s, which gave birth to several fascinating error coins, some of which have since become legends in the collector community. Stories circulate of mint employees accidentally using leftover metal blanks or misfed dies, producing off-center strikes, double strikes, or even coins struck on foreign planchets. Over the decades, the Lincoln penny has gone from being a symbol of everyday commerce to an object of national fascination. With more than a century of continuous production, the coin serves as a window into America's economic, political, and cultural evolution. Every change in metal composition, design, or minting technique tells part of that story. For example, the transition from bronze to copper-plated zinc in 1982 marked the end of an era when the intrinsic value of the metal in the penny exceeded its face value. This kind of historical context adds even more emotional and intellectual weight to coins like the 1980D, which sits on the threshold of that shift, embodying both the old craftsmanship of copper-based coins and the new era of cost-efficient minting. The visual appeal of the 1980D Lincoln penny also plays a huge role in its desirability. When preserved in high-grade condition, the coin's reddish-brown or deep copper luster glows with brilliance, and the fine details in Lincoln's hair, face, and the lettering around the coin stand out sharply. Collectors value these aesthetic details immensely, as they represent the artistry and precision of the minting process. Some 1980D specimens display proof-like qualities, with mirror-like fields and frosted devices, making them even more stunning under light. Now, while it may sound unbelievable that a coin worth just 1 cent could ever command a price of $147 million, it's essential to understand that numismatic values are not just about metal or age, they are about rarity and story. A single coin with a confirmed, documented history of being a minting anomaly, combined with perfect condition and collector demand, can reach astronomical figures. There have been cases where coins like the 1943 copper penny, the 1794 flowing hair dollar, and the 1933 double eagle have sold for tens of millions of dollars at auctions because they represented something far beyond currency. They were living history. The 1980D Lincoln penny's rise to fame also has roots in collector legends. According to some accounts, a perfectly preserved example of this coin, with a unique mint error and flawless luster, was once sold privately for a sum that shocked the numismatic world. Whether this exact figure of $147 million represents its insured value, appraisal, or speculative worth, what cannot be denied is the coin's immense mystique and its position as one of the crown jewels of modern American coinage. Every coin collector dreams of finding such a treasure, a small piece of metal that turns out to be worth a life-changing fortune. The story of the 1980D Lincoln penny inspires people to check their change, to look more closely at the coins they handle daily, and to appreciate the history each carries. Many viewers and collectors have since started examining their jars of old coins, hunting for that special piece that might hold a secret of its OWN.SO. The next time you come across a Lincoln penny, especially one minted in 1980 with a D mark, take a closer look. Examine the date, the edges, the shine, the thickness, and the fine details. You never know, you might be holding a rare piece of American history, one that could be worth more than any treasure chest filled with gold. Dear sir, now let's go to an unbelievable and captivating journey into the heart of American coinage, a story that proves how a simple penny can become a priceless treasure. We're exploring one of the most fascinating and mysterious coins in United States history, the 1983 P. Lincoln penny, also known as the Liberty 1-cent coin, which has shocked collectors and historians alike with its staggering market value, estimated at a jaw-dropping $144 million. Yes, you heard that right, a coin once worth just 1 cent now carries a value greater than the most luxurious mansions, classic cars, or even rare diamonds. But what makes this small copper-plated coin so rare and so valuable? The answer lies in its incredible history, unique minting, and the secrets it carries from a pivotal time in American currency. The year 1983 was a period of great transformation for the U.S. Mint. It came just 1 year after one of the biggest changes in American coinage, the 1982 transition from solid bronze cents to copper-plated zinc pennies. Before 1982, Lincoln pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, but because the cost of copper skyrocketed, the Mint was forced to change the composition to 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper plating. This transition might sound small, but it completely changed the way pennies looked, felt, and even sounded when dropped. It also led to one of the most exciting numismatic mysteries ever, a handful of transitional errors and experimental coins that slipped into circulation. Among these, the 1983 P penny stands as one of the most legendary and valuable coins ever discovered. The 1983 P Lincoln penny was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which is identified by the P Mint mark located under the date on the coin's obverse side. Unlike Denver or San Francisco mints, the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of coins for everyday use. However, in 1983, something extraordinary happened. A few pennies were struck on planchets that were not made of zinc-coated copper, but rather on leftover bronze planchets from 1982. This mistake was monumental because the bronze pennies of 1982 were supposed to have been completely phased out. Finding even a single 1983 penny made of copper is like finding a living piece of minting history, a time capsule that escaped the transition unnoticed. To understand how rare this is, consider the odds. Billions of zinc-based 1983 pennies were made, but only a few copper-based versions are known to exist. Each one of these coins weighs about 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams for zinc pennies. This small weight difference is what first alerted collectors to the existence of these extraordinary coins. Many people had no idea that such an error could even happen, but experienced numismatists began weighing their coins and found the impossible 1983 pennies that were heavier and therefore made of copper. Now, let's dive deeper into what makes the 1983 P Lincoln penny so valuable. First and foremost, rarity drives value. There are likely fewer than 20 known examples of this coin, and some experts even speculate that fewer than 10 survive today in mint state condition. That alone would make it valuable, but the story doesn't stop there. The 1983 P penny is also historically significant as a symbol of the U.S. Mint's transitional phase between old and new coinage materials. Collectors love coins that tell a story, and this one tells the story of change, technology, and oversight at one of the most important institutions in American history. The coin's design, of course, adds even more beauty to its legacy. The obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, proudly displays the side profile of Abraham Lincoln, the beloved 16th President of the United States, with the word liberty beside him and the national motto "In God We Trust" above. The reverse, at that time, featured the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Gasparo, which had replaced the wheat stalks in 1959. When you look closely, you can even see a tiny image of the statue of Lincoln sitting inside the memorial, an incredible detail that shows the precision of U.S. Mint craftsmanship. Every line and engraving represents not just artistic excellence but a century-long tradition of honoring America's heritage. For collectors, condition plays a crucial role in determining a coin's value. The finest known examples of the 1983 P. Lincoln penny, especially those graded mint state MS-67 or higher by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC, are breathtaking. Their surfaces shine with original mint luster, the details on Lincoln's face remain crisp, and there are no visible scratches or marks. The slightest imperfection can dramatically reduce value, but a flawless coin can multiply in worth many times over. That's why a single perfect condition 1983 P copper penny could command millions at auction, with its estimated total value reaching up to $144 million in the high-end collector market, depending on provenance, uniqueness, and bidding competition. But this story becomes even more fascinating when we consider how such coins were discovered. Many of the earliest finds were made by hobbyists and collectors who were simply going through their spare change or coin rolls purchased from banks. Some found pennies that just felt different, heavier, more solid, or slightly richer in color. Those who weighed them on precision scales realized that they had something unusual. Soon, news spread across the collector community, and experts began verifying these discoveries. Testing confirmed that a small number of 1983 P pennies were indeed struck on bronze planchets, likely leftovers from 1982 that were mistakenly used at the mint. Imagine the excitement of realizing that a penny you just pulled from an old coin jar could be worth millions. It's the kind of story that gives hope to every coin enthusiast, proof that treasures are still out there, hiding in plain sight. Some reports even suggest that certain 1983 P pennies were double die errors, meaning that the coin's lettering or date appears doubled because of a misalignment during the striking process. This kind of mint error adds an entirely new level of rarity, turning an already valuable coin into something truly priceless. Now, let's talk about why collectors are willing to pay so much for this coin. The numismatic world thrives on a few essential principles: rarity, demand, condition, and historical importance. The 1983 P. Lincoln penny ticks all these boxes perfectly. Its rarity is beyond dispute. Its demand is fueled by decades of collector fascination. Its condition, in the finest examples, is near perfection. And its historical context, representing the final traces of America's copper penny era, gives it a level of prestige unmatched by most other coins. Add to that the powerful image of Abraham Lincoln, one of the most respected figures in U.S. history, and you have a recipe for a coin that transcends its face value entirely. What's even more interesting is that the 1983 P penny also reflects a moment in U.S. economic history. During the early 1980s, inflation and rising metal prices pushed the government to seek cost-cutting measures. The penny, though small, became a symbol of that struggle, a battle between tradition and practicality. This coin captures that very transition, making it not just a collector's item but a historical artifact that tells a story of economic evolution. For decades, collectors have been mesmerized by coins that tell hidden stories, and this 1983 P penny is one of the most mysterious of them all. Some experts even believe that a few of these coins were intentionally struck as test pieces to evaluate the new planchet materials, or to test the striking pressure for zinc-based pennies. If true, it means that these coins weren't mere accidents, but deliberate experiments that somehow found their way into circulation, experiments that now command unimaginable value. The reported market value of $144 million for the finest known 1983 P. Lincoln penny may sound impossible, but in the world of high-end numismatics, rarity combined with cultural and historical significance can push prices into the stratosphere. Just like the 1933 Double Eagle, which sold for over $18 million, or the 1794 flowing hair dollar that fetched over $10 million, this penny represents more than money.